Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another Crimecast. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It's good to see each and every one of you. If you can hear me okay and things look and sound good on the screen, please give me a thumbs up or radiation emoji in the chat. If you cannot hear me or things look and sound bad, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who's in the building early. All right. Shout out to Carlton Way. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to AB Promotions. Shout out to Sybil. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Shout out to DJ Elmo. Shout out to Lehman Lucas. Shout out to Cameron Jones. And shout out to everyone else who has not said anything yet. It is good to see each and every one of you. Please make sure that you smash that like button. Please make sure that you hit that bell. And please make sure that you share the stream to your social media. All right. So what we're going to be talking about today is quote unquote property value. Property value. Because there's this thing, you know, and people say this all the time. They say, quote unquote, people, quote unquote, bring down the property value. Now, I want to ask you guys this question. What are the implications of, quote unquote, property value being brought down? And shout out to, you know, the Kryptonians. Shout out to the Maxis, right? Because we got property that's on the up right now, right? So if you're a Kryptonian, if you're a crypto maxi, if you're a Bitcoin maxi, shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you probably built yourself an impressive wallet over the last 2 or 3 years. And, you know, people who are taking profits, if you're taking profits, shout out to you. Make sure that you know what I'm saying, do what you got to do to make sure you protect it from Uncle Sam. And if you're a maxi, shout out to the holders, all right? So my question for everybody that's watching is, what is a risk profile? What is a risk profile? Somebody let me know what a risk profile is. Is a credit report a form of a risk profile? Who knows? Who knows, right? We shall see. We're going to talk about some crime, all right? How many people heard about this situation here? There was a parking spot fight. Somebody was getting it in. They were squabbing over a parking spot. You know what I'm saying? High vibrational activity for sure, because I'm sure somebody's brain was left vibrating, right? Let's take a look at this.
Started after a woman tried to park in a spot that was blocked off by trash cans, and it ended in 2 arrests.
All right, Fox 5's Richard G. Kovis is in Ridgewood, Queens tonight with more on what happened.
Even in the middle of the day during a busy work week, there are no parking spots to be had along this stretch of Putnam Avenue in Ridgewood, Queens. And this week, the fight to nab one of those coveted spots got just as hot as the summer heat.
I've literally burnt a quarter of a tank driving around this neighborhood at night. Comes 5 o'clock, forget about parking here.
Cell phone video from Monday night shows a woman standing in the middle of the street asking.
He said it gets to be 5 o'clock. Forget about it. Forget about it. There you look. Here you go.
Standing in the middle of the street asking if she could park her car into a spot that appears to be blocked off by garbage cans.
You ride by and see trash cans in the street. That's not right. It's not fair.
Police tell us that a 21-year-old woman got into a heated argument over a parking spot outside 18-28 Putnam Avenue with several people standing on the sidewalk. In the video, less than 30 seconds, the person in the white T-shirt lunges at the woman.
Hey, what the heck? Now, I want to ask you guys this question. Is this a quote-unquote black fatigue attack excuse? If this is a black fatigue attack excuse, give me a thumbs up. If it's not, give me a thumbs down. Now, again, right, we got to go back to the risk profiling, right? Somebody explain to me what a risk profile is and how you come up with a risk profile. Also, I don't know what this thing is. It could possibly be a man. It could possibly be a woman. In 2025, we have entities that fall, I guess, in between that spectrum. It could be one of those entities. How do you all feel about this aggressive entity just running up on this woman like this. There's a difference between a, heated verbal argument and then you're just going to run up on somebody like that. I mean, here's a woman, clearly, and then this entity just ran up on the woman like that. You know what I'm saying? What do y'all think about that?
18-28 Putnam Avenue, with several people standing on the sidewalk. In the video, less than 30 seconds, the person in the white t-shirt lunges at the woman. Another person pounces, and soon it's 3 against 1. Cops say the victim was...
So let me ask you guys this question. Is MAGA liable for this lawsuit? Because she's getting attacked by a bunch of non-black people under the guise of black fatigue, because this is what black fatigue, the idea of black fatigue is for. The idea of black fatigue is created by right-wing think tanks so that committing actions like this can be eased in court as it relates to quote-unquote public sentiment. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. This is one of the reasons why, everywhere you go to, people that's not gangster around when you go through. Sister, what? You know what I'm saying? You better be ready to pop that thing. Right? Now, shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions says risk profile, a check on your ability to pay or not to pay. I would agree, but I would expand the definition. And I would expand the definition for a risk profile to go concurrent with a quote unquote volatility assessment, right? And in that volatility assessment, it would encompass payment, but also it would encompass predictability, right? Remember we talked about quality control, right? It would assess predictability and predictable events and the percentage of times when an unpredictable event would occur. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Because risk profiles can occur outside of the realm of finance. Quality control can occur outside of the realm of total quality management. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Punch multiple times in the face and body, causing her substantial pain. Video shows that...
Shout out to the white savior with the cane, right? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the white savior with the cane.
Woman dressed in all black on the ground getting slapped, all because neighbors say this mother-daughter duo was saving a parking spot. Like one man describes it, it's every person for themselves in this part of town, at least when it comes to getting a spot.
He said when it comes to parking, there's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. You can hide, but you can't hide forever from these parking spots that we done took. You looking out the window, scared to look. All right? When it comes to parking, it's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. You can drive, but you can't drive forever from these spots that we done took. You walking with your windows down, scared to look, right? You driving with your windows down, scared to look.
Yeah, it's hooray for me and screw you. That's just the way it is.
After a few minutes, police arrive and arrest the mom, and witnesses say the woman who was fighting for the spot eventually won it, but had to endure a physical fight that neighbors say is not the solution.
Yeah, I thought they would have better, sense than that.
Police tell us that they arrested 2 women that night.
Hey, let me ask y'all this question. This cat right here. Is this a is this a OYN? Is this a OYN? If this, who knows what an OYN is? Is this an OYN? Jim Jones is an OYN. That should give you a little clue. If this is a OYN, give me a thumbs up. If it's not an OYN, give me a thumbs down. This is, you ask me, it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's OYN. You know what I'm saying? It's an OYN. Shout out to the OYN, man. Shout out to him with the skull, with the leather skull hat. You know what I'm saying?
Sense than that.
Police tell us that they arrested 2 women that night and charged both with assault. Meanwhile, the victim was treated at the scene by EMS and is still recovering. There's a local advocacy group, though, that says there's a bigger problem here, and it's this parking issue that's been plaguing this neighborhood for more than a decade, and they say something needs to be done about it. We're in Ridgewood, Queens. Richard Jacobus, Fox 5 News.
Now, what I found interesting about this, no one was charged, it sounded like. Did you guys catch that? If you guys caught that, it didn't seem like no one was charged. Give me a thumbs up. If it didn't, then give me a thumbs down. Yeah, that cat is an OYN, and I ain't mad at you, bro. Shout out to you, AB. Shout out to you for maintaining your property. Make sure y'all throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for AB promotion. You know what I'm saying? For maintaining this property. That's big. That's big. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, we gotta pull this up, right? We gotta pull this up. We gotta put this to the back. All right, we gotta put this to the back. OYN. Shout out to Sybil. Sybil don't know what an OYN is. Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo said, "Does this mean original New York native?" Not quite. Old YN. It means old young ninja. You know what I'm saying? Old young ninja. You know, sometimes, you know, depending on if you take care of yourself, when you manscape, if you got a little bit of gray, you could, you know what I'm saying, you could look like a OYN. After I manscape, I look like a OYN. You know what I'm saying? The rest of the time before I manscape, I look like a ON. You know what I'm saying? When I manscape, though, it take like 30 years off, for real, for real. It's crazy. It's crazy work. You know what I'm saying? With shaving and, you know what I'm saying, getting some fresh braids to do. You know what I mean? Now, how many people remember that mass shooting that we talked about in Philly? If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you don't remember that, give me a thumbs down. There was a 24-year-old. And if I'm not mistaken, this 24-year-old had gotten shot in an incident before. Unfortunately, as a result of the most recent mass shooting, this individual is no longer with us. You know what I'm saying? His father had a couple things to say about it. Let's see what his dad had to say about it. Now, risk profile, right? How many people like predictability versus non-predictability, right? We have to put this into perspective. And the reason why we have to put this into perspective is because of certain media narratives, certain media footage, and in addition to, you know, not only certain media footage and certain, you know, media narratives, there is the element of things that actually take place. There is that. It's undeniable, right? We have to take a look at a lot of these things. We have to ask about the quote unquote risk profile. Then we have to ask, is it possible for a risk profile to convert into a quote unquote racial profile? And then you got to ask the question, if the risk profile converts into a quote unquote racial profile, you know the next question. What's the next question? What's the next question?
Tonight, we're learning more about some of the victims in that deadly mass shooting in Grays Ferry. Philadelphia police say it was one of 19 shooting incidents over the July 4th weekend. 3 people.
Now, let's talk about a risk profile of an area where there were 19 shooting incidents during July 4th. Let me ask you guys this question. Would you pay a high amount of risk, a high amount of risk of rent, or a high amount of mortgage to live there? Or would you pay a low amount of rent or mortgage to pay there? Hey, shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, I'm from Grays Ferry, Ashland Avenue. Hey, represent. Shout out to DJ Elmo, the city of brotherly love. Facts.
In a Grays Ferry mass shooting were killed and 9 more injured. Investigators returning to the scene today. And Kelly, you spoke with the family of one of the victims who died. Unfortunately, this is not the first time they've dealt with gun violence.
Yeah, Sheba, sadly, that is the case. The father of 24-year-old Azir Harris had a heartbroken plea to the city of Philadelphia today to put the guns down. He says Azir was a father to a 1-year-old little boy and a paraplegic because he survived a drive-by shooting when he was only 17 years old. This family has been through so much, and they are devastated.
I carried him at his time when he was down, and now I can't be able to pick him up no more, and it hurts. Me too. It hurts me bad.
Troy Harris says he keeps a close watch on his.
Now, let me ask you this question. If you're a parent, do you assess the risk of something like this happening to your child and live where you can affordably that has the lowest probability of something like this happening? That's my question. Let me know in the comment section. Because here's my question. Do you want to live in an area like this where there's a high likelihood of something like this happening? And how should that reflect in the cost of the real estate? Somebody let me know.
Son, the youngest of 6, 24-year-old Azir Harris, who has been wheelchair-bound since he was 17 years old following his injuries in a drive-by shooting in South Philadelphia. When Azir's friends got him out of the house last night, he says he didn't question it.
But I figured they either go to the store, get some juice or something like that.
Shout out to Cameron. We gotta dive into this. Cameron says some people can't get out. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, to the people that agree, I want to know all of the reasons of why, quote unquote, an individual, quote unquote, can't get out. To the people that disagree, I want to know why or how, quote unquote, an individual can get out. Let me know what you guys think.
Never thought that he would be on the other side of town when that happened to him.
He identified Azir, an outgoing, positive father to a 1-year-old boy, as one of the 3 victims shot and killed on the 1500 block of South Edding Street around 1 a.m. He says Azir's son's mother.
Now, shout out to Cameron. Cameron said, bad credit, no employment, no skills. Now, here goes my question. Are all of those situations fixed, or are those situations adjustable? If those situations are fixed, give me a thumbs up. If those situations are not fixed and they're adjustable, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions says, I don't agree. I will say that they just don't know how to get out. Okay. Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo says, I say it again. Black folks gathering for a non-constructive purpose will often lead to chaos. Rip, Neely Fuller. Now, here's the thing, right? Let me ask you guys this question. Would people consider this neighborhood or neighborhoods like this a non-productive gathering? If you consider this a non-productive gathering, give me a thumbs up. If you don't consider it a non-productive gathering, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Sybil. Sybil says not enough money. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says if you're a felon. Now, if you're a felon, that's the situation for the most part. There were choices that were made that created that situation, right? Becoming a felon is like the STD of human behavior. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. You start off in life not a felon. You make choices that cause society to deem you a felon. Once you've become deemed as a felon, it stays with you for the rest of your life. You think you a pimp, you messing around with all these chicks. Once you get HIV, you staying with HIV, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. However, if you get HIV, you may not have as strong of an immune system as people that don't have HIV, right? But there are ways that you can maximize and optimize what you do have, right? Here's my question. How do you maximize and optimize what you do have? Let me ask you guys this question. In the place where you remain a felon until society has deemed you fit to come back into society, is education and skills offered? If it is, give me a thumbs up. If it's not, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, I got out. I tried to go to college while staying at home and failed miserably. I took advantage of the free training at Job Corps and was able to relocate to KY. Hey, I'm not mad at that. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Brooklyn Queen for getting out. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, I told my family how much better the cost of living is here, and they refuse to leave. I tell people to come to the Midwest all the time. Listen, man, shout out to the other people on YouTube. I don't rock with a lot of the stuff that they say. Everybody says people need to move to the South. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that people should move to the South. You know what I'm saying? I think that people should move to the Midwest. You can move to a place like Detroit. Detroit has such a population decay that they're paying people to stay there. And then you could move there for a productive purpose, build it up. Shout out to AB Promotions. People can do something like what AB Promotions is doing, get a group of people, you know what I'm saying? Put money in a pot, circulate the pot at a certain interval, and guarantee investments in certain things, right? Pretty creative. Shout out to AB, right? Make sure you guys show AB some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for AB. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, once those bad choices are made, the die is cast and your shirt will never be white again. You know who I just saw wearing a white shirt the other day? 50 Cent. I think that 50 Cent made every single bad choice possible. You know what I'm saying? Now, 50 Cent could be looked at as an anomaly, right? But what's interesting is, there's a lot of mega church reverends, right? A lot of mega church reverends, they live the same lifestyle, right? And shout out to Cameron. I agree. Everyone can't be a rapper. Can people become a mechanic? Can people become a streamer? I see a lot of people that have done prison time make a nice, lucrative income on YouTube telling stories about their experience in prison. You know what I'm saying? Of all different varieties. And at the same, and also, should there be a level of societal difficulty for making those choices? This isn't somebody that was born with a birth defect. Some people might disagree, right? But this is somebody that was born the same as everybody else, and they made choices. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you guys this question. Any of these situations, what it seems like from what we're discussing here is that none of these situations are fixed. None of these situations are fixed. It's the same situations as people who want to ignore the cryptocurrency revolution, right? You being broke isn't fixed. You know what I'm saying? You could have been buying Bitcoin in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, so that you could buy the tops today. Shout out to, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to me. Shout out to crypto.com. You know what I'm saying? Crypto.com just started a quote unquote Bitcoin all-time high campaign. Seriously, we've been joking around about buying the tops ever since they hit the recent all-time high. And what happens? Boom, they come up with an all-time high campaign. Everybody buy the top, like Michael Saylor. Like, seriously? What's up with that? Make your boy great. Make your boy great. Some people are not felons and they can't get made great. What about them? I should just start doing what they're doing in Philadelphia. What you think? Shout out to Jay-Z, right? What did Jay-Z tell people? Jay-Z told people if his situation ain't improving, he's trying to murder everything moving. You think that could that something like that have possibly been the motivation here in Philadelphia? The situation ain't improving. How would the situation improve? I don't know. I don't know. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says some people don't want or care to change the way they are living for a different result. I would say greater than 50%. If you guys agree with Cameron, some people don't want or care to change the way they are living for a different result. Give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, give me a thumbs down. Why does informative content have such low engagement? That's my question. Somebody let me know. You know, Google, you know, YouTube is also a search engine. Let's not forget about that. Right? YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. So if you're a content creator and you get YouTube analytics, what that tells you is that tells you what people are searching for. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, you need an imagination and ambition. Everyone doesn't have that. They are just living, and that's it. And I agree. So now here's my question. What should their sentence be? If they're not trying to get better, why should they get better? That's my question. Not just for Cameron. Shout out to Cameron for the engagement, right? But these are questions for everybody. Because we have to assess the risk profile. Now, for somebody that's not, shout out to DJ Elmo, for somebody that's not doing anything productive, what does the risk profile look like of them doing something non-productive? Is there a high likelihood or a low likelihood? I wouldn't disagree with that. Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo says, informative content has low engagement because most people have an external locus of control. Facts. Facts. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen says, too much self-reflection and disappointment in their choices. I would agree and disagree. I would agree that there is absolutely an element of too much self-reflection and disappointment in their choices. I would say, however, that causes anger and depression, and then that anger and depression turns into disassociation and denial of their situation and circumstance, which creates a loop of non-progression. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, those people are sailboats. The wind blows this way or that. Yeah, I would agree. Shout out to Leonard. What's good with you, bro? I would agree. And so why are we talking about this? Why are we assessing this? We're assessing this because if you ask me, there needs to be a clear separation between productive people versus non-productive people. We looked at those situations that took place yesterday. There was a speech pathologist who was attacked, and there was a research scientist who was attacked. And they weren't attacked by brain surgeons or computer engineers. So I want to ask you guys this question. If you have some type of credential that in some way establishes you as a quote-unquote productive member of society, is there a high or low likelihood of you doing non-productive things harmful to society? Somebody let me know. Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo says, the devil makes work for idle hands on non-constructive activities. Facts. Facts. Super facts, bro.
Was one of the 9 other victims injured in the shooting. Emotional loved ones gathered outside Penn Presbyterian Hospital all morning for updates as police were seen.
Look, shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, beautifully said. That's because I got my Bane mask on. I had to say it poetic because I got my Bane mask on.
I am the rocks of the eternal shore. Crash against me and be broken.
Now, I want to ask you guys a question. If you did a risk profiling or if you did a risk calculation across many different people in many different areas, what would that risk profiling look like? What would the percentages be? You guys remember when we talked about the beta coefficients when it comes to investments? You know, you can apply a beta coefficient, which is the same thing as a correlation, right? And statistics is denoted by the lowercase letter r. That can be applied to people as well, right? High risk, low risk. Let me ask you guys this question, and everybody risk profiles. If you're a driver and you're looking for a car insurance policy, what kind of prices will high risk versus low risk get you? What is a SR22 bond? Is that for people who are high risk or people who are low risk? Let me know.
And towing vehicles away for evidence. As seen in this surveillance video, police say they believe more than 100 shots erupted during.
Now, see what's going on right here? High risk, low risk. Now, if this is high risk, let's talk about all the consequences of this. If this is going on like it's just normal, see all these houses that the ring cam has in its panoramic view? What is this currently doing to the cost of those houses? What is this activity doing to the cost of those houses? Somebody let me know. Shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media.
An impromptu block party gathering on the block. Police say this video is part of their ongoing investigation. The gunfire striking homes and cars, one of them towed from the neighborhood today. Commissioner Kevin Bethel said he believes that at least one gun had a switch on it, a device that can convert handguns into fully automatic machine guns.
We had a significant level of violence over the weekend, but we can continue to see our trends are not heading in the opposite direction. We will not go back to the times where we had 560 plus homicides. That is not happening.
Frustration. I understand what happened last night, but it's really about understanding what we did yesterday.
Shout out to this brother, man. Shout out to this brother. It's hot outside. Shout out to this brother, man. You could look at him and tell it's like 95 degrees out there. It's like 95 degrees out there. You know what I'm saying? Somebody give my man a handkerchief.
Today and tomorrow.
Tyreek Glasgow with the Young Chances Foundation says they set up most days like this on the block with other agencies, including the 17th District Police. He says he had to cancel summer camp today as many children were scared to leave home.
I wake up this morning from what happened.
Now, you got children scared to leave home. What does that do to the real estate? What does that do to the risk profile of the area? Does that make it where people want to bring businesses there and encourage commerce? Or does that make it where people want to try to get away from there as quickly as possible or not pay as much because you don't know if you'll successfully make it out of the house because it's so crazy? So if you're a landlord or a business owner there, how do you make up for that discount that's caused by the activities going on in the area? How does that work?
Last night is a travesty. So it takes us to change this.
Harris also hoping for change as his family manages a new nightmare.
I just want to say, put these guns down, man. It's a better way to solve it. What do? It's a better way to solve it.
So now remember, right? Okay, so again, he said, put these guns down. It's a better way to solve it. Now, we saw that video right there where that black woman in New York City got jumped. Let me ask you guys this question. Which of those is quote unquote better situations, or is the idea not to have any of those type of situations take place? Yeah, shout out to Cameron. The rent probably is like $3,000 in that neighborhood and people paying it. Yeah, shout out to Sybil. Sybil says it will reduce the value. If you guys agree with Sybil, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah. So now here's an even better question, right? So let's say, for instance, your parents or your grandparents bought the home there in that area. They want to either sell it or pass it down to you. Is the value decreasing from the time that they bought it, or is the value increasing from the time that they bought it? So the question then becomes, if the value is decreasing from the time that they bought it, generational wealth is being stifled, because in order for generational wealth to be passed down, there has to be a constant appreciation, not a constant depreciation. Crime depreciates the value of real estate and the value of businesses in areas where it frequently takes place. Now, profiling. What if there's a group of investors and there's an open warehouse or an open lot and people are looking for places to start their business? Somebody says, what about over here? Somebody says the risk profile is too high. Certain media entities get a hold of this idea of the quote unquote risk profile too high. YouTube, Substack, Twitter, all these different places, quote unquote, gentrification. gentrification. Let's talk about gentrification. Does gentrification increase criminal risk profile of an area, or does gentrification decrease criminal risk profile of an area? Let's just say, for instance, there's a bunch of rundown buildings, a bunch of rundown apartments. Shout out to the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, areas immediately outside of downtown, in most cases in the Midwest, have old abandoned steel factories, old abandoned manufacturing factories, all throughout. It's all set up the same. If these areas are high crime areas, if there's an opportunity to buy that real estate or buy real estate in a more clean, less crime rampant area, what will the investors do? That's my question. What will the investors do? In most cases, when people see gentrification, the gentrification doesn't usually just buy one little lot. And the reason why they don't buy one little lot is because if you buy one little lot, you're still not able to control the risk around that one little lot that you buy. So in most cases, when people see gentrification, there's these massive building projects. We're going to gut 5 or 6 streets, and we're going to put up a strip mall. We're going to put up a hospital. We're going to put up college campuses. We're going to put up housing. We're going to an entire area. The reason that they do that is so that they can have more control over the area, right? More control over the area. Why do they want more control over the area? Because if they have control over the area, then they can decrease unfavorable occurrences, aka have a better risk profile, right? So that brings us full circle back to the original question. The original question is, when it comes to the situation of gentrification, does gentrification increase risk profile, or does gentrification decrease risk profile? Let me know in the comment section.
Commissioner Bethel did say today that officers were in the area of South Edding Street earlier in the night for what he calls a pop-up event. He said they took care of that. And at one point, they were pulled a few blocks away for another incident. And that's when he says the gunfire erupted. Police are asking anybody that has additional information to call 215-686-TIPS.
So now let's as this area in Philadelphia is currently, with the current composition of real estate and people who are there, this is what's going on there, right? Now, I'm sure there's areas of Philadelphia that have been gentrified. If we compared occurrences of what goes on here to what goes on to the gentrified areas, which areas produce more revenue per month? That's my question for you guys. Which areas produce more revenue per month? Somebody let me know.
The violence has been unending this weekend here. All right, Kelly, thank you.
All right, so there's that. So give me 1 second. Real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. So let's just say, for instance, people decide to buy up that block. Then they put a hospital there. If they buy up that block and put a hospital there, will the amount of homicides in that area remain the same, is my question. Yes or no?
Tonight on the 10 o'clock news, we're learning disturbing new information about last week's arrest of 21-year-old Journey McGrew. She's charged with murder and concealing evidence after police say she killed a man inside the Cross Creek apartment complex on the west side. At the time, police were only reporting that the man died from blunt force trauma.
Well, now we've learned more about the weapon and the possible motive behind the killing. News Projection reporter Eric Avenay joining us live outside the Duval County Jail, where McGrew is being held without bond. Eric.
Well, the fact that she remains held without bond here inside the jail.
So they're holding this lady without bond. All right. So let me know, guys. If that area that we just looked at in Philadelphia, if that area remains the same versus if that area is quote unquote gentrified and a hospital is put there, which will have more homicides? That's my question.
May have a lot to do with some details about the case that we just uncovered today. In fact, we now know the murder weapon was a hammer. We also now know that the victim was found deceased with a letter on his chest.
Man, what's going on? What's going on with all these people attacking people with the hammers? we got another MC Hammer situation. Hey, I ain't know about this. Gervonta Davis in some trouble again. There was a Portland Trailblazer who was accused of grape. I don't know if anybody was aware of that. Let me know what's up with the what would you guys invest in? If you had $100,000 to invest, would you invest in the area as it is currently, or would you invest in the area after a hospital was put up? Somebody let me know. You know what we got to do, right? You know what we got to do. What we got to do. Another hammer attack. Oh man. It's another hammer attack, man. The hell? Is that I missed the memo on that. Is the hammer attack the new thing? Is that the new thing that we doing out here? What's up with that? What's up with these hammer attacks, y'all? Hold on real quick. I got y'all. We moving slow right now. People ain't trying to make my computer great. People ain't trying to make my computer great, so we moving slow right now. There we go. There we go. There we go. Hold on real quick. There we go. We got to pay homage to the hammer attack. Why are they out here attacking folks with the hammers, y'all?
Pick up the hammer. Pick up the hammer.
Hey, why they doing it, man? Why? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up with the hammer attacks, man? Whose man's is that? Shout out to AB Promotions. Is that your man's? Is that your man's? What's up with this, man?
Or a note on his chest that said, quote, pedo touches here as in pedophile. And according to our crime and safety analyst, this case is now looking like a revenge killing. When police were called to the Cross Creek apartment complex to investigate a disturbance, they discovered.
All right. Shout out to DJ Elmo. Shout out to DJ Elmo. Yeah, throw the hammer emoji in the chat. Right. What's up with the hammers? Can't touch this. You know what I'm saying? DJ Elmo says some areas are like gifting goods. That is, even though there is a high crime rate, demand for property still goes up. Example is London, UK. Now, if I'm not mistaken, London, UK used to be like the New York, right? Like London in the UK used to be like the pinnacle of the financial district, if I'm not mistaken. If this is true, give me a thumbs up. If it's not, give me a thumbs down. Right? So there's the element of quote unquote location, right? But even in the location where there's a large amount of commerce, in the immediate vicinity, is there a lot of crime? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo says, invest before the hospital goes up. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I want to ask you guys this question. Why is it that if a hospital gets put in an area like that, homicides will go down? But if the area remains the same, homicides will either stay the same or go up. Why is that? Somebody let me know. Shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't hit that like button yet, do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. Also, please share the stream to your social media.
The bloody dead body of 41-year-old Waduda Woodley. He was on the ground in front of apartment 207 in building 200, an apartment that belonged to 21-year-old Journey McGrew. According to police, Woodley had a written note on his chest that read, "Pedo touches children." The note appeared to be written in ink from a green highlighter. Police ordered McGrew out of her apartment, and as she was being detained, she reportedly asked if Woodley was still alive. Police later obtained a warrant to search her apartment. Police say that when they entered this apartment, they found a trail of blood leading from the doorway all the way to the bathroom, but that's not all they discovered. Other evidence collected inside McGrew's apartment included a bloody metal hammer, a bloody bathroom sink drain, bloody clothing, and a notebook along with a green...
A bloody metal hammer. You know what that means? Try to warn y'all, man. A bloody metal hammer. a bloody metal hammer. Pick
up the hammer. Pick up the hammer. Pick up the hammer. Pick up the hammer.
Shout out to Alonda. What's good, Alonda? Good to see you as always. Oh man, look, it's too much. Listen, man, it's too much content. It's too much content. Aren't you guys happy it's me talking about this stuff? Aren't you guys happy that it's me? Just imagine if somebody else got their hands on it. It's just like they say, you know, in the cartoons and in the movies. If this ever got into the hands of evil, right? Well, at least it got into the hands of your evil, right?
Highlighter. According to McGrew's arrest report, she initially told investigators that Woodley had been sexually grooming her since she was 8 years old and had sexually assaulted her multiple times. The report goes on to say she messaged him on the night of July 1st, stating that she had been sexually fantasizing about him and regretted treating him poorly. That night, she reportedly invited Woodley to her apartment. McGrew told police that by 1 o'clock the next morning, Woodley pressured her to have sex and that she denied him and asked him to leave. McGrew told police that as they were exiting the room toward the front entrance, she grabbed a hammer and hid it behind her back. McGrew said that when they got to the front door, Woodley grabbed her in a non-forceful manner, and that's when she began to hit him in the head and face with the hammer.
What do you guys think about this story so far? What do you guys think about this story so far? Kinda interesting, huh?
When police asked McGrew if she had invited Woodley over with plans to kill him, her response was redacted from the arrest report. News4Jack's crime and safety analyst Tom Hackney says JSO has a policy of redacting murder confessions and arrest reports before a defendant has their opportunity to have his or her day in court.
Idea of bringing him over there and telling him that she's fantasized about him was the ruse to get him there. And then the night progressed and you know, it ended with his murder.
It's unclear if McGrew's story about being sexually groomed and assaulted by Woodley is true. Hackney says if they are proven to be true, then this is a revenge murder case. Now, Hackney went on to say that if you are ever a victim of sexual assault or abuse, even if it happened when you were a minor, you still need to report it. He says that taking matters into your own hand will only result in you going to prison if convicted of murder. Now, in this case, McGraw was charged with second-degree murder, but Hackney believes that based on some of the statements that she made that are in that arrest report, that prosecutors may see this as a premeditated act and upgrade her charge from second-degree murder to first-degree murder. Reporting live from outside the Duval County Jail, Eric Alvinier, Channel 4, the local station.
It also sounds to me like this woman here is not wrapped too tight. And what it seems to me like is that this woman, you know, she's kind of not able to not self-snitch. So what it kind of seems like to me. So I think she's gonna be one of them types that just excessively is like, I did it, I did it, I did it. Like she did that so much already that they had to redact the report. You know what I'm saying? So how many Gervonta Davis fans are there? I know, if I'm not mistaken, I think TD and shout out to Grind and Motivate. I think TD and Grind and Motivate may be fans of this fella here. Hold on real quick. I know this fella has gotten into some issues and he's been circulating throughout social media before because of some issues with a baby mom. If I'm not mistaken. If that's true, give me a thumbs up. If it's not true, give me a thumbs down. I don't follow boxing too much, so I'm not too sure if that's true or not. I think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. But apparently he's back in the news. Another situation with a female. Let me ask you guys this question. What is it about these type of guys? They just can't hold it together. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Risk profile. If you were a boxing organization where Gervonta Davis was a fighter in your organization, high risk profile, low risk profile. Let me know what you guys think.
Developing right now. A well-known boxer arrested right here in South Florida. Gervonta Davis is accused of assaulting his ex-girlfriend in Doral.
And this is not the first run-in with the law. Local 10's Roy Ramos is live.
Why you with your ex-girlfriend? I saw this meme and it described the situation with exes perfectly. The meme asked the question, would you reach into the toilet and put shit back into your ass? Most people, right? Most people answered no to that question. There's always a few that, will say something that you don't expect, right? But most people said no to that question. So, most of the time when people get into a lot of this type of trouble or this type of situation, they're around their ex. So again, I got to ask, if you're making all of this money boxing, you got it going on, you doing your thing. Why are you around your ex? You got access to whatever female that you want. Why are you around your ex? Why? Some people that have this type of liquidity and affluency, they don't even spend time around a female that they want to be around because they pay to be around females that they fantasize about. Somebody could have a wife and they paying to be with some Instagram models for the moment, right? Why would you be around your ex? Somebody make it make sense. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Alonda. Alonda said, Gervonta Davis is your simp story of the day. Yeah. Because again, in a lot of situations, emotionally unhinged males who de-evolve into simps tend to commit crimes. Shout out to Keep It 100. Keep It 100 has said this. I've said this. Simps are some of the most dangerous people on the planet. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Emotionally unhinged beta males will do anything for validation. You know what I'm saying? Like simps, beta males are like the equivalent of freaks. Freaks will do anything. If they're like, they'll do anything. It's like Mikey with the Life cereal. Mikey will eat anything. Give it to Mikey. He'll eat anything. Tell this simp, he'll do anything. Tell this freak she'll do anything. People that will, quote unquote, do anything are dangerous. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Why are people that will do anything dangerous? They will do anything and they will be dangerous because the fact that they'll do anything expands their risk profile to 100% volatility. You can't predict or manage what they'll do, which means that you're at a constant risk of being unsafe because there's a constant risk of these people doing harmful things. Simps have extremely high risk profile. All it takes is for them to be told a certain thing by a woman or for them to become emotionally unstable. And at that point, their restraint goes out the window and they will do anything. Anyone who will do anything is dangerous because anyone who will do anything has no fear. Fear, in many cases, is an enhanced risk profile, a built-in quality control mechanism where if you're fearful of something, in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, it's something that you perceive or either your subconscious perceives as dangerous. If you don't have a concept of dangerous, if you don't have a concept of risky, you'll do anything. If you'll do anything, you're a ticking time bomb, and anyone around you is in constant risk of harm. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DJ Elmo. I wouldn't disagree. DJ Elmo says, why are you around your ex? I'm guessing it could be kamikaze or trauma bonding. That's true. That's true, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, however, right, those are bad reasons. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs down. There's always a reason. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can give a reason. A reason doesn't necessarily constitute as a logical justification, right? So, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with DJ Elmo, right? That's probably his rationale. It's probably Gervonta Davis's reasoning, his rationale for being over there. Look what happened when he's over there. Now you back in the news.
Outside of the jail in West Miami-Dade.
And I know you have some details on this latest arrest for the boxer, Roy.
Christy and Alexis, the charge he is facing is battery with domestic violence. And you mentioned this was an ex-girlfriend, but it is also the mother of his children. That, according to police. Let's show you who we're talking about here. You were looking at the mugshot of professional and well-known boxer, 30-year-old Gervonta Tank Davis. He was arrested by Miami Beach police early this morning on a warrant for his arrest following an alleged incident that happened in June on Father's Day. In the arrest report we obtained, Davis is accused of striking and slapping the mother of his children in the face, causing injuries to her lip as he arrived to pick up his kids from her Doral home.
Now, you're a millionaire. You don't get along with your baby mom. Why not have somebody go pick up the kids for you? Why are you picking them up? Shout out to AB. AB said he'd be like, so I love my baby mama. I never let her go. Right. This is a corrupt and Foxy Brown situation. Ain't nobody supposed to bring that up. Right?
Unfortunately, this is not the first time Davis has made headlines for his run-ins with the law involving domestic violence. I tried to speak with him back in 2022 as he bonded out of the Broward County Jail for allegedly hitting his ex-girlfriend outside his Parkland home.
So he has a lot of issues. He has a lot of he seems to his recurrent issue that gets him in the news is putting his hands on women. Do you see this house right here? Look at this house. Let me ask you guys this question. How many of you all would like a house like this? I've been YouTubing for 5 years. I'm trying to figure out why I'm not living in one, right? But that's a deeper conversation, right? That's a deeper conversation. How many, if you all would like to have a house like this, give me a thumbs up. If you would not like to have a house like this, give me a thumbs down. Now, the area that he lives in, to me, doesn't match the personal risk profile. Would you guys agree? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, you know, crime can occur anywhere, right? Shout out to the people that survived the suburbs. We know this, right? But from appearances, right? From appearances, this looks like, on first glance, it would be a low risk profile area to live in. But the person living here seems to have a recurrent high risk profile. What do you guys think about that? Shout out to Alonda. Alonda says, Rob, guys like that will risk their lives to satisfy their pleasures. For example. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't disagree. What makes, quote unquote, guys like this is my question. Somebody let me know what makes guys like this. Let me know.
Causing injuries to her face. In 2020, he was seen on video grabbing his ex-girlfriend by the throat at a celebrity basketball game. While Davis is known for his fight in the ring, it is his fight with the law that he is facing off with once again. And Davis is expected to face a judge at some point today, likely this afternoon. We will be there for that and let you know what the judge decides. For now, in West Miami-Dade, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
Imagine having a house like that and sitting in a jail cell. Imagine that. Imagine that. Let's take a look at this right here. Shout out to you guys. Nobody answered my questions, FYI. Let me see. How many people heard about this former Portland Trailblazer who was sentenced to more than 8 years in prison for graping women? If you guys heard about this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about this, then give me a thumbs down.
Portland Trailblazer is set to spend more than 8 years in prison after he was found guilty of rape during his time with the team.
In court today, the victim spoke just before the judge handed down his sentence.
This has been the longest 4 years of my life.
8 years and 4 months. That's how long Ben McLemore will be in prison after being found guilty of raping a woman at a house party back in 2021. It happened while the 32-year-old was on the Portland Trailblazers team at the Lake Oswego home of his then teammate, Robert Covington.
I've had to continue on with my life with a piece of it left unresolved.
I got questions. Do you guys have questions? I've got questions. The obvious one. Why? Why?
Team at the Lake Oswego home of his then teammate, Robert Covington.
I've had to continue on with my life with a piece of it left unresolved. These last few years have often felt like a weight that I've had to drag behind me, a constant reminder of the trauma that I haven't fully been able to work through because there was no ending in sight.
He wasn't arrested and indicted until just last year, and today the victim addressed the court, speaking about the years-long process it took for justice to be served.
This experience has taken an immense toll on my emotional and mental health. It's changed me in ways that I've never expected, and yet I've carried this burden in silence. Thanks to the jury's verdict, I can finally feel a weight being lifted, a weight that I've carried for far too long. And while I can't truly describe the relief that I feel, I know that today I stand a little taller and a little freer.
McLemore was found guilty of several charges, including first-degree rape, despite his claims that the sexual encounter was consensual.
Now, here's my question. This happened 8 years? This happened, what did they say, 8 years ago? I don't know how you sentence somebody without, like, current evidence. Unless they had like a video. How does that work? So like somebody can just say like this person raped me and people gotta guess. Like I'm curious as to what the evidence was here.
He used my vulnerability against me and then had the audacity to lie about the disgusting act that he committed.
The victim said in court today that she hopes this trial will be a testament that no one is above the law, no matter their status.
So many times we hear about people in positions of power or fame avoiding accountability, but I knew.
So there, I want you to pay attention to the narrative. The fantasy of exercising feminism. just pay attention. You know what I'm saying?
That no matter how famous Mr. Macklemore was or how much he may have loved and respected his family, he was still capable of hurting someone else.
Macklemore was also.
And let me ask you guys this question. In 2025, does regret get to be converted to grape? That's my question. Yeah. Your high school sweetheart at age 50 can take you back to court for consensual sex that happened on prom night and say that you took it. And it's your word against hers. And we know that in the court of American law, because American law is based on simping, you're automatically guilty. When you throw, other dynamics into the pot, it's even worse. Right? So, I don't know, if I was guys, I would say, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Always make sure that you control the risk. Make sure that you control the risk. Because here's the thing. I don't know about this case, right? I'm not saying he's not guilty. I'm not saying that he is guilty. What I'm saying is, where's the production of evidence and how do you prosecute somebody for something that, that late without current evidence, like without a kit and all of that? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
So sentenced to 11.5 years of post-prison supervision and will have to register as a sex offender.
So there's that. Okay. But even still, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I can say. I don't know if I can say that you would have caught me around there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you can say that you would have caught me around there. Cause that's you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just sometimes, it's a lot of strange things. It's a lot of strange things. Well, let me see something here. We talked about this McDonald's stabbing, right? We're going to talk about this man that shot a bus passenger in Detroit. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Bus passengers getting shot, what does that do for the risk profile? What does that do for the risk profile? Does that increase the risk profile? Does that make it more attractive to live in a certain area? Or does that make it more risky to live in a certain area? Is that going to, make people say, hey, I want to move down there? Or no? Let me know. Let me know.
Search is on for a man accused of shooting a passenger on a D-Dot bus in Detroit. The victim, a 26-year-old who is expected to survive. Good evening. I'm Jessica Dupnack.
And I'm Roop Raj. It's one of 2 violent incidents on city buses this week, and now police plan to beef up security. Fox 2's Charlie Langton has the latest.
So let me ask you guys this question. If you have to, quote unquote, beef up security, is that an increased cost? If beefing up security is a quote unquote increased cost, give me a thumbs up. If beefing up security, quote unquote, is not an increased cost, give me a thumbs down. So now, if security has to be beefed up, quote unquote, so to speak, right? And it costs more, who's going to pay those costs to utilize those services? Now, here's my question. How does paying those increased costs affect the quote-unquote wealth gap? How does paying those increased costs affect the quote-unquote wealth gap? Somebody let me know. Help me out with this. Help me out, guys.
Detroit police investigating a shooting on a D-Dot bus 7:30 Wednesday morning near 8 Mile in Sherwood. And that shooter still on the run.
This individual stood up, walked toward this other individual.
Now, here's my question. Who made him do that? We always got to ask the who made question, right? We got to always ask the who made question. This is a question that you should ask even before you're about to eat something. If somebody offers you, oh, whoa, who made this, right? So who made him do this is the question. Because there's always the instance of somebody was quote unquote made, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Somebody was made to do something. Somebody was quote unquote tricked. Who tricked? Who made this individual decide to pull out a gun on a bus and shoot somebody? Let me ask you guys this question. Should we go after the gun manufacturer? Should the gun manufacturer, quote unquote, pay for this heinous act? That's my question. That's what the Chicago Tribune, right? Anti-violence advocates. Why not hold gun manufacturers accountable for mass shootings like North River tragedy? What gun manufacturer should we hold accountable, right, for this Detroit bus shooting? Anybody got any ideas? Smith and Wesson, Winchester. Who should we hold accountable? Somebody let me know. Somebody let me know. Help your boy out. Help me. Help me. Come on, I'm drowning. Somebody throw something out there so I can breathe again. Help me. I'm drowning.
Fired one time. Police say the shooter, a black man in his mid-50s, ran down 8 Mile.
Oh! Racist. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing else to say. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Just news doing all this. You guys agree or you disagree? Shout out to Lehman Lucas. Lehman Lucas said no. Shout out to you, bro.
Black man in his mid-50s ran down 8 Mile, cut his hand when he tried to jump a fence, hitchhiked, and was eventually picked up by someone who took the shooter to the area of Mound and Davison, where he was last seen.
Now, I want you guys, this dude shot somebody on the bus. He got support. He was picked up. I want to ask you guys this question. If there was somebody on the way to work and they had a flat tire, would they get picked up and taken to work? This dude shot somebody on the bus and he got picked up and taken to a location where he was sequestered from police. Yeah. Shout out to AB. Right. This yeah, look. You got to watch out for the old ninjas because they'll buck you on the bus. Right? Nuck if you buck. Right? Nuck if you buck. Nuck if you buck. Nuck, get bucked on the bus, right? Get bucked on the bus. Bucked on the bus. Bucked on the bus. Right? He got bucked on the bus. Hey. I thought it was funny. I thought that it was funny. You know why I thought it was funny? Because Bitcoin will be $120,000 by Monday. That's why I think this shit is funny. You know why? In all of these situations, if these clowns were buying Bitcoin, none of this shit would have happened. But remember, it's a scam. So don't buy Bitcoin and get buck on the bus. I want you guys to understand, when anybody that says that Bitcoin is a scam, they're telling you to get buck or get bucked on the bus. So get buck on the bus. Buck on the bus. Buck on the bus. Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo said, sounds like the shooter and the victim knew each other. It seems targeted because he already pre-planned a getaway car. Yeah, possibly. It might have been some woman. You know what I'm saying? Some woman might have saw him running down the street. You know what I'm saying? Stuff falling all out of his bag, and he had the gun, you know what I'm saying, going up and down, running. She knew something had happened. You know what I'm saying? You know how stupidity in guys activates the female pheromone. And, you know, it's probably just a line of women. Just get in my car. Get in my car. He probably was able to take his pick. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. What do you think he got offered faster? Draws or a car? He probably got offered some draws in the car, right? You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep it a buck. On the bus. Keep it a buck on the bus. Buck on the bus. Buck, get bucked on the bus.
His mid-50s ran down 8 Mile, cut his hand when he tried to jump a fence, hitchhiked, and was eventually picked up by someone who took the shooter to the area of Mound and Davison, where he was last seen.
Don't know what started it. It does not look like there was any kind of physical altercation. He stood up and fired one time, striking our victim.
And the victim, a 26-year-old male who was shot in the upper chest and as of late Wednesday is in temporary serious condition. But police are actively looking for the shooter, who did leave personal items behind.
Backpack, waiting for
Let me just make sure I leave my driver's license behind. Let me make sure I leave my ID at the murder scene. These criminals just get more. Let me ask you guys this question. Is it just me, or do these criminals get more and more intelligent as time goes on? Which one? Now, again, let's talk about this area. Let's talk about 8 Mile. If this was a health transit that was running because the area had got bought out, demolished, and built back up with a hospital, high likelihood that this would have occurred, low likelihood that this would have occurred. We're risk profiling. Somebody let me know. If this entire area was bought out, a hospital was built, and this was a health transit instead of a public bus, high likelihood that this would have occurred, low likelihood that this would have occurred. Back to the question. Does gentrification increase crime profile and bring negativity to an area, or does gentrification decrease crime profile and bring revenue, commerce, and low crime to an area? Let me know. And then we have to ask the question, why does that occur? Because it just don't occur out of the clear blue sky, right? Why does that occur? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, I came back into the stream, and the first thing I see is a guy holding a weapon. That's what you get. You doing checking on that crow with knife? You checking on that crow with knife? I'm going to tell you about crow with knife. Everything else has double-digit gains. Crow with knife is up like 1% today. Woohoo! You know what I'm saying? Everybody throw the whale emojis in the chat for Carlton. Strange investments going up, baby. Buy the tops. Buy the tops. You know what I'm saying? Everybody buy the tops.
This text to collect it. We're hoping it's got ID in there and the stuff that we would like, so we can get him in custody as quickly as possible.
This is the second incident in as many days. On Tuesday night, 7 in Gratiot, a patron.
Get off crypto.com and stop checking crow with knife, bro. Don't worry about it. Just buy the tops. You know what I'm saying? If you're a true whale, just buy the tops.
Disputed a bus fare, spit at the bus driver, but the bus driver pulled out a knife and stabbed him. The Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
Now, again, does gentrification increase or decrease incidents of things like this? If this entire area was bought out, demolished, and a hospital was put up, and this was a Healthline transit bus, high likelihood that this type of activity would occur, or low likelihood that this type of activity would occur? Shout out to Lehman Lucas. Lehman Lucas says, Rob, what do you know about bonk? I know that we've been buying bonk over here at least for the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying? And I know that right now, currently, it's not doing as good as most of the other crypto, the meme coins. MOG is actually doing really well. You know what I'm saying? MOG is up like 25% over the last 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. Uh-oh. Here come the coonin. Here come the coonin. Here come the coonin. Carlton. Here, coonin. Carlton. Here, coonin. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here come the cooning. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here come the cooning. Right? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here come the cooning. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here come the cooning. Oh, man. Hey, we all are. We all are. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's a coon. Everybody's a coon, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we all are. The word is completely useless in 2025. You know what I'm saying? It has no logical basis in 2025. You know what I'm saying? It's been abused. You know, how many people have heard their parents talk about crying wolf? Oh, you know, people have been crying coon for so long, they've destroyed the effectiveness of the word. That's their cross to bear, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. So now again, right? Let's just get the corrections out here. There's nothing coonish about what Carlton said. This is just a fact. Why is it that gentrification in areas that are gentrified, the crime, the homicides go down? But I want you guys to pay very close attention, though. Pro-crime culture. Gentrification is something that decreases crime, decreases homicide, increases the likelihood that you will be able to survive walking up certain blocks that might have been risky at a time. But this is discussed as something bad. I didn't think that there was anything worse than losing your life. I guess the thing that's worse than losing your life is if an area is reconfigured into a way where you have less likelihood of losing your life going through that area. Pro-crime culture wants to keep the criminal element there. Does that make any sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, give me a thumbs down. So now, here's my question. Why do the people who live in these areas not gentrify them for the better? Is there an interest in doing that? A lot of shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo says Neely Fuller Jr. said that, you know, people shouldn't gather in a large group if nothing productive is to come of it. So let me ask you guys this question. In all of these type of places around the United States, what is the production mission? What is the production goal? Now, let me ask you guys this question. When people gentrify, is there a production mission behind the gentrification? What's the production mission? We're going to put this hospital here and have revenues of $12 million over 30 years, then reinvest it into, you know, another 10 blocks. That's a goal of production, right? What is the goal of production of the people here prior to gentrification? Uh-oh. 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 Here come Biggie. Shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions said the production goal is party and bullshit and party and bullshit. Biggie starts that song off talking about gentrification. I was a terror since the public school era. So, I mean, there you go right there. I was a terror since the public school era. I was a terror since the public school era. Okay. Now, remember, yesterday we asked about, you know, the lines in popular songs because people say certain things are concurrent to culture, right? Now, as we do Crimecast, what it seems like is that it seems like I've successfully referenced multiple bars that refer to these very instances. Now, let me ask you guys this question. I'm not Chat GPT. Somebody tell me how I did that. How I do that. Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo said, if people don't value themselves, then they won't value the area that they live in. Now, here's the question. Who's making them do that? Who's making them do that? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton says there's people that build. Yeah, cutting classes, grabbing asses. Right? Now, I want you guys to pay very close attention. Where are the answers to my questions? Huh? Huh?
Is reviewing that incident.
There's some dumb stuff going on, though, really.
Many bus riders want to see more cops on the buses.
They should put more.
Now, look, I want you to pay very close attention.
Police officer.
What do you say? They should have put more police officers. Huh? Here. Let me ask you this: why can't the people just behave properly? If you say you need to just put more police officers, what that's saying is that people can't self-regulate their own behavior. They need, quote unquote, the police officers. You know, the police officers that everybody is against. The people that are against those people need those people to regulate their behavior. That's what this dude is saying. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said when people do self-gentrification, they get deleted by the hood or their project gets destroyed. I remember when Magic Johnson had the movie theaters, right? We had a Magic Johnson movie theater in Warrensville Heights at the Rondo Park Mall when it was open back in the day. It was a shooting there and people getting beat up there all the time. I don't think Magic Johnson told anybody, you want a bullet with your popcorn? That's not on the menu. Shout out to AB. AB brings up a good point. AB says, I think when people have ownership of where they reside, they'll treat where they live much more differently than if they don't own it. Now, let me ask you this question. People have, regardless, right? People may not own their physical property, but people have ownership of their life, right? Here's my question. Should we expect people to treat property or assets that they own in a better way than they treat their own life? That's my question. How do these people here treat their life? Do they treat their life like their life has lots of potential, or do they treat their life like, you know, they're just going to get another one tomorrow? That's my question.
Buses. They should put more police officers on the bus.
They should have put more police officers on the bus. Now, they put the police officers on the bus. The police officers delete somebody that's doing something questionable. Then they say defund the police, right? If you guys would agree, that's kind of how that happens. Give me a thumbs up. If it's not, then give me a thumbs down. So now how do you deal with that? Here again, why can't people just self-regulate? You need to put an overseer there. Need to put an overseer there. Somebody said, okay, so he says we need to put police there. Somebody says, I got a better idea. I'll just put a thriving business here. Gentrification. I put a thriving business there. Will homicides go up 5% or will they go down 10%? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said a lot of older people are pro-police. They're terrified of the youngins. Didn't they raise them? The youngins not only came from them, but were raised by these people. So that these people, not only are they terrified of the youngins, that means that they're not confident in their own parenting ability to produce a capable, productive member of society. Me personally, I don't anything that my kids are involved in, I don't think there needs to be police there. My kids You know what I'm saying? They know how to regulate themselves. The worst my kids do is they don't clean up after themselves. You know what I'm saying? Their rooms are dirty. Clean up your room. That's not anything that would cause police intervention, right? Let me ask you guys this question. Is being terrified of your offspring a problem? If being terrified of your offspring is a problem, give me a thumbs up. If it's not, give me a thumbs down. How did that problem occur? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen says some families have pulled together to buy land and build their own towns, i.e. Summerfield, Georgia, I think. Hopefully they're still progressing. I haven't heard much in the news about them. Yeah, we talked about them. I think if I'm not mistaken, we talked about them a couple times. What do you guys think about this? So again, okay, shout out to Carlton. Let's bring Carlton's comment back up, right? Shout out to Strange Investments, right? A lot of older people are pro-police. They're terrified of the youngins. Let me ask you this question. If they're terrified of the youngins, how have old people risk profiled the quote-unquote youngins? How have they risk profiled them? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here come the hammer. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here come the hammer.
Police officer on the bus instead of riding behind the bus in the car. They need to be some on the bus.
Good suggestion. In fact, Police Chief Bettison met with bus drivers today, and changes will be made for both the public and the bus driver's safety.
So now let me ask you guys this question. Let me ask you this question. Let's just say, for instance, that old man, right? Shout out to the old man. If someone asked him about what Carnival is doing with their cruise ship rules, what do you think that he would say? What would his answer be? And let me ask you this. Are the quote-unquote Carnival rule changings, are those risk profilings? Is that a risk profiling? So then you have to ask the question, at what point is there an intersection between quote-unquote risk profiling, quote-unquote, and racial profiling? Is there an intersection there? And if there is an intersection there, what does that intersection look like? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said he would be happy about he'll be happy about the rule changes. We won't know until we ask him, right? And we don't know anything, so that's why all we do is just ask questions, right? So yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to see what he would say. What do you guys think that he would say? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said he thinks that he would be happy. By his logic, if you ask me, by his logic, one thing he might ask is, why are there not police on the cruise? Right? Because that was his thing. He said, why is there not police on the bus? There needs to be more police on the bus. Okay. If you ask me, if somebody asked him about that situation, he would say, well, why is there not police on the cruise? Why is there not police on the bus? Why is there not police on the cruise? Doesn't address the fact that why do these individuals who partake in these things need to be supervised? Why can't they self-supervise? So again, he's doing the same thing that the gun violence advocates are doing. The gun violence advocates are saying, sentence the gun manufacturers. Okay, the gun manufacturers didn't shoot anybody. He's saying, well, this is a failure because the police aren't there. No one is asking the question, why are these people doing these things? I'm asking the question, why are these people doing these things? And then people leave the chat. No one answers the question. So what I find fascinating is that for the most part, The old man here, he took the same approach, quote unquote, as Carnival. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, again, how does that address? See, because if there's people that can't self-regulate, then what ends up happening is that now you have to bring in security. Is security free? Is security free, or do you have to pay more? So if you got to pay more, then the cruise is going to cost more. Who's going to pay? How are they going to collect the extra money that's required to pay security? How are they going to get that extra money? How are they going to get the extra money, ladies and gentlemen? Where's the money coming from?
Expect a lot more bus boardings from the Detroit police in the next few hours here.
Is this violence enough to make you stop riding the buses?
Yes, it is.
Okay, if the violence is enough to make somebody stop riding the buses, which is not the buses aren't being violent towards people, it's the people that are on the buses, right? What is that going to do to the revenues of the bus company? What's that going to do to the revenues of the bus company? Now, if it becomes less profitable to run a bus route through those areas, are they going to continue to run bus routes through those areas? Then what's going to happen? Then people ain't going to be able to have transportation. The risk profile. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton says from the customers. Now, I want to ask you this question. Customers who don't engage in the profiled behaviors, is it fair for those customers to have to pay a premium for what a small amount of customers do? Is that fair? This woman says she's scared to ride the bus. Now, in this area here, something can happen to you walking down the street too. So you're really not avoiding any type of situation by not riding the bus. And the reason why is because these people are saying the bus is the problem. Okay, well, just get rid of the bus route then, right? But then if you get rid of the bus route, they're not going to be able to they're not going to have transportation. So then how are they going to go to work or wherever it is that they go? And then somebody will say, well, we're restricted access to transportation. Are they actually restricted access to transportation? What's actually going on here? One could argue and say that there's a self-restriction to transportation because there's not transportation upkeep with the existing transportation that's there. This is decreasing revenues. Would a company want to do business here is the question. With the mind state that a lot of these people have, it would seem that there could be a risk of if an incident occurs on the bus, they could be liable for a lawsuit. They would sue the bus company. I got shot on the bus. The bus didn't keep me safe. The bus isn't a bulletproof vest. They got to have higher insurance on the bus, medical payments and such for incidents that take place on the bus. A standard has to be established. What's the expectation of quote unquote safety on the bus? The bus driver's not a Navy SEAL. He's not gonna. In most cases, he's not gonna be able to disarm a terrorist or disarm some type of individual that's causing a disturbance, right? So again, how does this get dealt with? How does this get dealt with is the question, right? Shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, degenerates always cost the rest of us more money. Facts. If you guys agree with Brooklyn Queen, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. The money that the degenerates are costing us is less money that we have available to contribute to our personal crypto digital asset stockpiles. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton says, I think there has to be a legitimate effort to remove the criminal element from these communities. Organization is the key. Money will be needed to buy politicians who can advocate for the people. Facts. And the people have to not change in the wind. You can't say we want more police on the transit. The police get into a questionable incident, and then they say we want to defund the police on the transit. You gotta, it's gotta be one thing. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Yes, it is. In Detroit, Charlie Langton, Fox 2 News.
All right, so there's that. All right, so again, this was a short one because I wasn't able to. This is interesting. Karen Bass is signing an interesting executive order. Karen Bass is signing an interesting executive order. Next time when we get to undocumented, undocumented, it's gonna be just like Crimecast. We never gonna get around to the other channels, but make sure that you subscribe to them anyway, because once we get around to them, you know how I go. All right. So shout out to everybody. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. You know what I'm saying? Crimecast, because it just don't stop. All right. If you haven't smashed the like button yet, smash the like button. If you haven't hit the bell, take a moment, hit the bell. If you haven't shared the stream, take a moment, share the stream. Subscribe to the backup channels. You know what I'm saying? Watch the old content. Make your boy great. And shout out to the Bitcoin. Shout out to the crypto maxis. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy them gains. Shout out to Carlton. Don't burn your eyes. You know what I'm saying? Staring at crypto.com, waiting for Crow with knife. Strange investments. You know what I'm saying? And as always, ladies and gentlemen.
This year, jump out the crib, stack out my seat, no this year, killing my ego this year, all for the people this year, only believe in the real, I do believe in no fear, and I got gang in this bitch, I never switch on the tribe, I keep it all the way real, I'm in control of my feels, you see my highlights and study my real, yeah. I'm showing more love this year, running more plays, finna scale up my business this year, the world in my palm, I'm a star, I deliver my cadence, I'm serving up chills to my peers, bringing the bread for the fam, everything good on the side, everything coming together. New whip, no leash, no key in it, they heat it. California on the plate, I'm out here playing for keeping. I pull up, she leaking, she want me for the weekend. My foot on the gas with the brakes, hate me or love me, you see me. Flex, yes, I got my foot on their neck. I'm out with a squad to the death, young nigga get to the checks. Flex, yes, got nothing to lose and something to prove. Young nigga come from the trench. Cuban links on my neck, tanking, freeze, smoking on dope, that diesel. Freeze, running till I miss my season. Laid back, geeking, smoking on dope, that diesel. Young nigga gone off the deep end, running till I miss my season. I keep a stack of them blessings, I'm ballin', I'm play callin'. They chain on me matching my smile, you know that I stay salty. Wrist flooded, she drowning. We good on this side, everything coming together. New whip, no leash, no key in it, they heat it. California on the plates, I'm out here playing for keeping. I pull up, she leaking, she want me for the weekend. My foot on the gas with the brakes, hate me or love me, you see me. Flex, yes, I got my foot on their neck. I'm out with a squad to the death, young nigga get to the checks. Flex, yes, got nothing to lose and something to prove. Young nigga come from the trench. Cuban links on my neck, tanking, freeze, smoking on dope, that diesel. Freeze, running till I miss my season. Laid back, geeking, smoking on dope, that diesel. Young nigga gone off the deep end, running till I miss my season.
Once we understand that it is through our five senses that these imprints are being made on our subconscious mind, we can then consciously begin to utilize our five senses to imprint something different.